Hey ladies and gents, welcome back. This is going to be a follow-up to Part 1 and Part 2, or also known as Part 3 of What If Naruto Was a Seal Master. So, as in the other two videos, no like goal, I'll probably just finish this What If, and let's jump right into the video itself. So, in the last part, we pretty much left off with the Land of Waves mission kind of finishing, and Haku and Zabuza being, transported, I guess, back to the village, and they were, getting unsealed from the scrolls that they were in, still badly injured, with Naruto and his, personal Anbu that were assigned by Hiruzen standing around him. This is still, probably about a month before the Chunin exams would actually happen. So, Haku and Zabuza obviously get released from the scroll, and they're injured. They can't really do that much. Zabuza can't really use his arm still, and Haku is still feeling the pain from that chop on the neck that Naruto gave him. So, they both stand up. They're weary and on guard, but they're not really trying to fight because they can see that Naruto is fully healed while they're not. Along with the fact that, they're completely surrounded. So, with them noticing this, they just wearily ask Naruto, "Why did you bring us back here? Why are we still alive?" Now, Naruto, hearing this, decides to tell them exactly what he planned to actually have Hiruzen do. Make them leaf shinobi if they can prove themselves, worthy of it and, being able to get the trust of the Hokage himself. Now, them hearing this, they just straight up don't believe him. They're like, there is absolutely no way the Hokage agreed to that, and there's zero chance that we're going to be leaf shinobi. Now, Naruto says, understands this and just tells them, then why don't you try to prove it? Prove that you can be, able to go back and forth. Even if you were a rogue ninja before, that doesn't mean you can't have any form of loyalty, any form of, anything like that. Now, Haku would have a much easier time than Zabuza actually becoming a ninja, just because of the fact that he's younger and he'd be able to go through all of the ranks. However, Zabuza would find it a little bit more difficult, because the way it would work is he would start as a genin. He wouldn't start as a, chunin or a jonin. We'll say he starts as a chunin, just because they probably don't want him participating in the chunin exams, because they just kind of kill everybody. So we'll say he starts as a chunin, while Haku would begin as a genin. Now, this obviously means that Haku would need a team or something of that sort, but they just decide to do something a little bit different. As a way to see if they could actually trust them or not, they decide to not only upgrade, or whatever you want to call it, Zabuza to a Jonin, but also appoint Haku as his one team member. So, or not team member, but kind of like student, or whatever you want to say it is. So, with this, or Jonin Sensei, is the way you'd put it. With this happening, they decide that they're going to end up participating in the Chunin exams, and Naruto goes to Kakashi to ask about it. Now, Kakashi gathers the rest of Team 7 together, which is, Ino, Sasuke, and Naruto, and asks them if they want to participate. All of them unanimously agree to, participate in it, and all of them go off to train. Naruto, Ino, would go over and begin training, or not training, I guess you could say at this point, but discussing with Haku and Zabuza. They talk for a little bit and decide that all three of them are going to get some training in together, because, why not? They're already there, and they kind of want to try to form a bond with one another, especially Zabuza and Haku towards Naruto, because they gave him this second chance at life, and they're not just going to waste it. They really do appreciate what he did for them. Their views have been pretty much completely changed, just like in the original canon. So, they begin training, but, Naruto already knows tree, water walking. He has mastery over a few different actual, nature releases. So, he doesn't really have that much to, actually train for. So, instead of doing, harsh physical training like he would normally do, he decides to use his time to try to control even all of the Nine Tails. Naruto has gone into his mindscape a few times and, talked to Kurama a little bit, and he actually does know his name at this point. And I wouldn't say they're on friendly terms, but Kurama does lend his chakra to Naruto quite a bit, and, doesn't really hate him like all of the other humans. Naruto, over this time, spends more and more time talking with Kurama per day, and eventually they do gain some sort of, friendship, just because Naruto, actually takes the active approach of trying to, befriend Kurama, because of the fact that he not only was able to enter his mindscape sooner, knows that Kurama was, actually sealed inside of him sooner, and knows what the Nine-Tails Fox is and looks like in the first, time they meet. So, eventually speaking, Naruto would have asked Kurama's name, and that kind of, scooted their friendship along faster. So, by the end of this little, training period, Naruto and the Nine-Tails would actually be, friends, I guess you could say, in a way, with Kurama being able to lend Naruto chakra at pretty much any point. However, Naruto didn't, he hasn't been able to open the seal yet because he hasn't been able to formulate a key for it. So the Chunin exams would begin, and everybody on Team 7 would pretty easily be able to pass the first test of the, being able to, cheat and stuff like that. Naruto would have a really easy time being able to do that with all of his different abilities that he would be able to use in this, what if itself, or he just wouldn't answer any of the questions, so either way, he'd pass. So the final question is asked, but right before it is, he gives them a bit of a criteria. If you don't answer this question correctly, not only are you never going to be able to become a Chunin again, but you're just not going to be able to do anything, really. So, a lot of teams do decide to back out at this point, because, whatever, they can come back next year, they don't want to risk it. They don't know if they're actually prepared enough yet. However, a lot of the remaining teams, obviously stay in. This including Team 7 and most of the Konoha, whatever, Shinobi. So this would actually begin the next part, where Anko crashes through the window, and she introduces them to the Forest of Death. They all head there, Naruto's at the gate at the, right time at this time, and they head off into the forest, heading in a different direction than the canon. So Naruto, using his sensory abilities, is pretty easily able to find another squad. He approaches them, but senses something interesting. It's a massive amount of bloodlust coming off in that direction, and he can also sense that there are 3 people, one of them being much stronger than the other 2. This is Gaara's team. Naruto decides that, hey, he might as well try testing himself out a little bit, see if he can use that Kurama chakra to good use. He activates it going into KCM, not KCM 2, but the normal KCM, because he hasn't, released the seal or anything like that. So, going into KCM, Naruto charges at Gaara, using his full speed, full power, and he does something interesting here. He puts his hand down and hooks up Gaara's shirt a little bit, and does the 5-pronged seal, making it so that Gaara was, actually well sealed inside of Gaara, and he wouldn't be coming out anytime soon. Gaara, noticing this, is actually a little bit relieved. Naruto hasn't gone to, the extent of, making him, change his ways or anything like that, but this alone would be enough to put Gaara on the right path, just because he wouldn't have to deal with the fact that Shukaku was constantly tormenting him. He couldn't sleep, and he constantly felt this massive bloodlust towards others and the need to fight. Now, most of that would be reduced, however, Gaara still is an emotionally broken child, and he would begin his fight with Naruto. Now, Naruto and KCM, along with the fact that Gaara would not be able to use his Shukaku abilities or anything like that, he would just be having the sand that he has along with his 2 teammates. Let's be honest, he would be absolutely no match for Naruto in this fight, and Naruto would completely shit on him. He just kind of chops them all in the neck, using his massive speed to completely overwhelm Gaara's sand, and then he knocks out the other 2. And with that, he takes their scroll, which happens to be the right one. Now, I don't know in the canon which scroll they had. We'll just say it's the right one. And they immediately head off towards, where the, middle is. But something encounters them on the way there. This being a mysterious sound shinobi, this obviously being Orochimaru, who, now finding them, decides he needs to get his precious Uchiha body. And he immediately tries and goes to place a curse mark on Sasuke by biting him in the neck. However, Naruto ain't allowing that to happen. Now, Sasuke hasn't even awakened the Sharingan at this point, so he's kind of weak comparatively to where he was in the canon, but we don't talk about that. So Naruto ends up having to block this, and sensing the strength of this, shinobi immediately, he activates his Kurama cloak like he had done before, KCM 1. So, with that happening, he immediately charges at Orochimaru, who is completely off guard, not expecting this kid to be anywhere near as fast as he was. Naruto charges forward, slamming his hand against Orochimaru repeatedly, over and over again, as many seals appear all over Orochimaru's body. Gravity seal, chakra seal, like physical ability seals, and just all kinds of seals. And then Naruto punches Orochimaru in the stomach, and he falls to the ground, knocked unconscious. Now, yeah, Naruto just took down one of the Sannin with absolute ease, with no effort. Now, Orochimaru was off guard, but that doesn't change the fact that Naruto just did this. Naruto pulling out a scroll, realizing that this is somebody of interest once he saw that, Orochimaru's face was basically peeling off, revealing Orochimaru himself. He decides to seal him inside of a scroll. So he heads to the end of where the end of the Chunin exams was, and pulls out another scroll, summoning Kakashi there. Now with Kakashi there, Naruto tells Kakashi what happened. He has captured Orochimaru. Now, Kakashi absolutely shocked, but also kind of not believing that this at the same time, because Orochimaru should be so far above Naruto. However, Naruto says, "Take me to the Hokage now. We need to get this dealt with." Now, Kakashi, seeing the absolute, seriousness of Naruto in this situation, decides to leave the other two, students there, and goes with Naruto to the Hokage office, where they meet with Hiruzen. Naruto, taking a bunch of scrolls out and releasing Orochimaru from them, revealing a not massively injured, but massively sealed Orochimaru, pretty much just his head with still a bunch of seals on it. Now, Hiruzen seeing this is absolutely shocked. Not only is Orochimaru completely restrained, unable to do literally anything because of Naruto's seals that he placed on him, but that's just, think about how insane that is. And he immediately decides to appoint Naruto as a Jonin at this point, and even considers putting him in his Anbu, but decides to hold off on that for a little bit, just because he's not sure if Naruto's ready for the emotional side of that yet, considering he is, a 13-year-old boy at this point. But Jonin should do fine. Now, with Naruto being appointed... my voice just died. But with Naruto being appointed Jonin, he, just like we saw with Kakashi, Obito, and Rin, that does not mean he is, put off of the team. He just has higher authority in it, and would pretty much be, the same rank as Kakashi now. But he does stay in the team. But this also means that Naruto does not continue to participate in the Chunin exams. So, everybody arrives from, the Chunin exams, and all of the preliminary matches would begin. And I'm just gonna say, almost all of the fights go the same, except for two. This being Ino's fight versus Sakura, and Sasuke's fight versus the chakra-absorbing guy. Now, Sasuke wins this fight pretty easily, because obviously he can actually use his chakra, and we'll say because of the Forest of Death encounters, he actually did awaken his One-Tomo Sharingan, and is able to pretty easily react to his, movements. So, next would be Ino versus Sakura, which would be a completely one-sided stomp in Ino's favor because of the training that she did with Naruto over the years. So, she completely overwhelmed Sakura in every aspect. Genjutsu, she's better. Taijutsu, she's better. Ninjutsu, better. So, anything that Sakura could do, Ino can do better. And just to flex that absolute massive amount, she uses mind transfer, taking over Sakura's body and making it walk, just walk away and forfeit. So Sakura, completely unable to get out of this like she did in the original canon, ends up losing because she just forfeited the match. So Ino wins and moves on, and all of the rest of the fights, like I said, would go, the same to canon, except Naruto wouldn't fight Kiba, so we'll just say he just moves on because there's nobody really to fight him, so whatever. So the next month would pass by with Naruto, Ino, and the kind of same people doing their training once again. This time Naruto is completely focused on making a ki for, the Kurama chakra, obviously because Kurama has been telling him that he is not able to give Naruto anywhere near as much chakra as he would be if he completely opened the seal, and Naruto would be made much stronger because of this if he did. So, with Naruto focusing almost all of his time on this, Naruto using shadow clones, doing all of this, making different seals, writing stuff down, and seeing anything that works. Eventually, over this pretty much month of training, Naruto would eventually figure it out, recreating the seal that Minato had made, and undoing the Nine-Tails seal. Naruto immediately going into KCM2, shocking Ino, Zabuza, and Haku, who are all standing next to him. Naruto calms them down and tells them exactly what he did. He succeeded in creating the ki. They're all pretty impressed by this, and they're not gonna lie because of the, what just happened, and they decide that they need to train a lot harder now, because Naruto is just so massively above literally everybody in the village, including Hiruzen. And just like in the ninja world at this point, other than maybe like Obito, Naruto stomps, let's be honest here. So with that, the next part of the Chunin exams would happen, and the fights go pretty relative to canon, with Sasuke still learning the Chidori, his Sharingan mastery at around the same point because, he didn't really have that much training in between the Chunin exams and when the Land of Waves mission happened. So he is around the same level, meaning all of the fights would go pretty similar to canon. Ino would end up fighting Kiba because, those are like the two loose whatevers that didn't really get to fight in the original, and Ino ends up winning pretty candidly just by taking over Kiba and making him surrender. Just as simple as that. And it really is pretty easy, not gonna lie. So the rest of the fights would go pretty similar to canon, except we'll say Neji is just gonna fight whoever the winner of the semi-finals will be, because of the fact that he's the prodigy of the Hyuga clan, so he doesn't end up actually having to fight here. He just had to fight against Hinata in the original, which went exactly, the same as canon. So, with that ended up happening, Sasuke would end up not actually making the, Shukaku come out, because Naruto tightened the seal on him. This means that Sasuke would probably actually win the fight, just knocking Gaara out and winning. This means that he would go next against Neji, and Sasuke once again wins here because he's around the same strength, and he was stronger than Naruto because Naruto at this point didn't have his rage boost, I guess you could say. So Sasuke ends up winning against Neji too, with Sasuke, Neji, Ino, Shikamaru, and a few others that I don't really care about noting becoming Chunin, with Naruto, obviously, like I said before, becoming a Jonin. Now, this is where I am going to end this part off. We will go over most of Shippuden in the next part because, Sasuke's not even going to end up going with Orochimaru because he never got the curse mark, along with the fact that Orochimaru was sealed away. Jiraiya really never had a reason to come back to the village, and they don't really need a new Hokage because, Orochimaru was sealed away, Hiruzen is completely fine, and none of the village even got injured in any way because of how the Chunin exams actually went, other than Lee getting injured, but, it wasn't as bad as the original because Naruto was there, and he's it weighed up a little bit, along with the fact that Gaara wouldn't be as bloodlusted without having Shukaku inside of him. So, that is where I'm going to leave this part off. I'll see you guys in the next part. Peace out, and bye.